Hello, everyone. Good evening. So we're from Beyond Kilig, and tonight is our episode 8 of Kwentuhang Beyond Kilig. So we entitled it "Planting Seeds of Real Love." With you'll know later on, we'll introduce our guest for tonight. So just a little background of Beyond Kilig. Beyond Kilig is a group of people who advocate the teachings of the Catholic Church on man's identity, purpose, love, and sexuality, summed up in Pope St. John Paul II's Theology of the Body, or TOB as we call it. So my name is Estelle from Cebu, and joining with me tonight are my hosts, Carla.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi,
Carla from
Carla.
Kwentuhang.
Hi, Guada
And
from
Wada.
Manila. Okay.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Exciting day
Okay.
tonight.
Huh?
As
Yeah. Can
always.
you believe it?
Yeah.
Can you believe it's already December? It's so fast.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, Christmas.
So one thing that I'm looking forward to that I just have to tell our audience is about the Jesus Centered Life Conference. So that's happening this December 8 to 12. So this conference, it's a free online conference that brings together dozens of speakers, not just from the Philippines, but also all over the world to speak about how they found joy in living a Jesus-centered life. So basically like how did Christ affect their lives in different aspects, whether it's at home, in their profession, or even with friends, or what advocacy that they might have. So yeah, it would be cool. So it's starting December 8th. So that would be like the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, and it's until December 12th. So from that time period, anyone can view all of the talks that will be uploaded. And at the same time, there'll be a variety of activities. So in that activities, there will be masses, there'll also be meditation, and there'll also be panel discussions. So for the panel discussions, they're grouped into for parents. So there'll be a panel discussion for parents, for educators, for students, and also for young professionals. Okay, so for the young professionals, guess who's like, helping out organizing it? So yeah, it's Beyond Kilig team. So us. Actually, Carla and I will be the host for the
Woo,
panel
go girls.
discussion. So yeah, I think yeah, it's something for us to be hosting this event. So the panel discussion will be on December 11th. So this will be for catered to young professionals, and we have really interesting variety of panelists. So the title would be Seeking, Finding, and Sharing Joy. So that would be on December 11th, Saturday at 5:30 p.m. So yeah, just check out our Facebook page because we'll be posting there the details about the panel discussion and also about the conference that all of you guys can join. So there, we're
It's
very much
free.
Exciting.
excited.
Join.
Yes?
It's free.
Yeah, can
Join.
you believe that?
Yeah.
Good content for free. And you can like get so many talks from all over the world, speakers from all over the world.
Even Guada,
Yeah.
diba?
Yeah, actually, it's like my first time ever to submit an entry or to be like a speaker. Like it's pretty nerve wracking coming up with recording. Like I had to take it several times.
But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
Time
share
I'm
zone
the,
sa
there.
the
Guada.
joy, right, Guada?
Pardon?
You share the joy.
Yes, of course. Share the joy of being part of the Beyond Kilig team. Yeah, I mean, who'd
Exciting,
expect the
exciting.
yeah, exciting times. I mean, who'd know that, going online, there's a lot of things you can do to share about your advocacy. Yeah, from our ends about sharing about theology of the body. And our speaker for today, actually, our guest. So she's very much into this, no? So just to give a background, so our guest is Nica Katigbak. So she works as a preschool teacher in an international preschool in Makati. She earned her bachelor's degree in communication arts from De La Salle University and is currently taking her master's in early childhood education from the same school. So when she's not studying or teaching her little students, she's often giving talks about St. John Paul II's theology of the body to kids and teens, or teaming up with her mom to give talks to parents. She's also the author of the book Katrina, Her Superpowers and Her Not So Super Day. So cool, no? She also has a book. It's a children's
Sana
book
all.
that yeah. Malay mo, Estelle, di ba? Like, one of these days tayo magka-book din, di ba?
Yeah.
So, anyways, this children's book introduces to 3 to 12 years old some themes of the theology of the body. So when she's not in the classroom or around kids, she's often taking pictures, painting, or eating spaghetti. So teacher Nica believes that all children are gifts and can love and help the people around them in their own little ways. Okay, so let's have her here on stage with us. Hi, Nica.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to my
Like,
classroom.
yeah, with your background.
Yeah, halatang teacher kasi ang ganda ng background.
Uh,
I was just
okay.
curious, Nica, what's your favorite spaghetti?
I
Sorry.
like the Filipino spaghetti, the sweet one. The one that
Oh,
tastes, my mom always says the spaghetti that tastes like dessert already.
true Pinoy right there, guys.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess we should get the ball rolling, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to talk about a lot of things. So, yeah, let's get started.
So as usual, we usually ask our guests, can you tell us more about your TOB journey? I mean, where did it start? I was just telling them na coming from a family with Tita Joy as your mom, I bet it started pretty early. Or did it?
Yeah, my first memory of TOB, or maybe I wasn't so aware that it was TOB back then, was when I was younger, my mom was going to give me the first series of The Talk. So actually, I don't remember the story. She just told it to me. And then we were apparently in McDonald's, and then she was asking, Nika, do your friends have crushes already? Do they like boys? And apparently, I said, Mommy, I know where this is going. I'm not ready to talk about this yet. Ask me when I'm 13. And then eventually when I was 13, I think I said later on or whatever. Until eventually, she made me read this short story in this Theology of the Body book. It was about this kid who had a birthday, and I don't remember the rest of the story, but that was my first encounter with Theology of the Body. And every time I'd ask my mom questions, I guess I realized it later on na lang, na the answers to my questions always had TOB as the backbone. So there, that was in the start. And when I was in high school, my mom let me attend Father Joel Hasson's Theology of the Body weekend. I was pretty young, and I remember there was just a lot of adults, and then there was me. I was like just sitting there listening to what was going on, and I learned a lot. I remember getting excited about. Parang at first, I remember thinking, oh, it's about the Bible because they talked about Genesis. So that was my takeaway from it. But then after that weekend, it kind of just stayed there. But if you have the chance to attend the Father Joel talks, highly recommend. He's one of the best. So there. And then after that, I would join my mom for her different talks. I'd just, tag along. She always calls me her buntot because I'm very clingy with her. So I want to see what she's talking about. And I'd really just take things in and learn. But it was only in 2016 that I really, really fell in love with TOB. So I attended this, I think it was like a training course with Katrina Zeno. So she's like this TOB speaker, and it was a hardcore course. She said it was like scuba diving with TOB. So not just the surface level things, but you really delve deep into what TOB is. And me being the nerd that I am, I super loved it. I fell in love with the message. And then I guess since I was older na nun, I got it, parang it was more relatable already to me. It talked about identity, dating, and all of those things. So some of these things from the Katrina Zeno talk I had heard before, but collectively with Father Joel, with all the talks of my mom, with Katrina, like it really just affirmed me that, TOB is something to get excited about. And I loved it so much. And me, when I get excited about something, I love to research. So I read so many books about, well, hindi naman so many, but I read several books about TOB in Jason Everett's website, The Chastity Project. I think I read all of the blogs na din there. And it was such a perfect timing because 2016 was the time in my life that I felt kind of lost. So TOB was placed at the perfect time na it was relevant. It helped give me direction. And I was so lucky that TOB talks about identity, what your purpose is, what you're called to do. And those are the things that I was struggling with at the time. And that was in college. And yun nga, just to add to my nerdy self, I'd have a 2-hour break, I think every other day. And I would spend it in the chapel or in the library, reading and highlighting and taking down notes from the TOB books that I was learning. Until I said na, this is something that's really worth spreading and worth telling other people about. So that was in college. Then in 2017, so like what Guada said kanina in the intro, my course is communication arts. And for our thesis, it's not a typical thesis. It's a creative output. So you can have film, documentary, photo essay, podcast. I chose to do a children's book. So I said, okay, what theme should I do? I said, oh, theology of the body. So yeah, let's make a TOB book for kids. And I said, how will I do this? I don't have any, how will I find a thesis partner na, also like TOB or like that. So I did my college thesis alone. And I always like to say, Mommy and Jesus were my partners. But it was such a fulfilling thing to be able to make this book. So it's called Katrina, Her Superpowers and Her Not So Super Day. And it's for kids because I don't want people to think that TOB is just about love, just about sex, just for old people. Its message can be brought down to the level of kids. So this is my book. It's my one of my
Cute.
private sessions.
Yeah.
Sneak peek. Wow.
If I may ask, no, like about the book, like what's the main message
There. So
for
the
kids?
main
Yeah.
the main message for kids is you don't need to change anything with your body for you to be able to make a gift of yourself to others. We don't need superpowers. We don't need super speed, super strength, that kind of thing. Your body was already made in such a way that allows you to be a gift. So that's the main
Mm.
message of the book. Diba? And then like when the kids
Okay.
remember that at a young age, when they grow up, we'll have so many gifts
Oh,
in the world. It'll be so nice.
wow.
There.
Hey,
So
that's
I
Guys,
could,
help us
something.
reach the pre-order. We need
yeah.
copies.
Yeah.
Let's order the book
I
together.
will post
Yeah.
about that in our FB group, in our page
Yeah,
about it,
let's post
no?
about it, Nika, ha?
Interesting.
Para like
Yeah.
Yeah.
people can join the pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carla wants a copy na.
Yes.
So the link for the pre-order is tinyurl.com/I'm a super gift. So I'm
Okay.
a super gift.
Wow.
So there.
Cute.
That's like the
Cute.
theme of the book. And then there, so that was 2017. And then now I give sharings on TOB with my mom. So she'll give a talk on TOB and then I'll share my testimony or how it can apply to my life. And eventually I started giving my own talks on TOB. If I'm not mistaken, my first one was in Youth for Christ in their sector conference. So that was my first ever workshop on TOB. And since then, I've been giving a lot of TOB talks to parishes, to the kids, to the youth, young adults, some teachers also. But I think one
Cute.
of my favorite highlights also of TOB, like what I told you guys, is I taught it in grade 10 in my high school before. So I got to be a TOB teacher. And it was just so nice journeying with my 99 students as we discovered the
Wow,
beauty of TOB
99. That's a
together.
lot.
Diba? Checking the
So
papers.
exact.
Yeah, di ba
Wow.
199?
Yeah.
There. So that's my TOB journey.
Did it parang like apart from helping other people, personally, how did you grow? Did it also help you? Like all those experiences?
Mm-hmm. So, like I was telling you earlier, I'm very, very lucky that TOB is about identity and what we can do with who we are. So, the three main points that TOB was able to help me in were these. I want to share with you the points. The first one is that our identities are we are beloved sons and daughters of God. So, just a backstory, I've always been very different from my peers, from my siblings. I always felt very odd na parang, why don't I fit in? Why don't I like the things that they like? Why am I not as smart as them? Is there something wrong with me? Why am I not in this varsity or in this club? Or why am I not the most outstanding student of Muntinlupa? Like to that level. But then,
Wow.
Tio, that's so specific. But TOB assured me that, you know what? You don't
Gotta be
be any
looking
of
good.
those, diba? You don't be any of those things. You are a beloved daughter of God. And that really, I don't know, that really changed my mindset na, I have worth even though I'm not so good at math, I don't play instruments, I'm very clumsy. It's okay. God still loves me, and He still has a purpose for me. So there, that was point number one that TOB helped me in personally. Number two was I'm created for a love like Christ. So Christ loves us. If you've had the TOB talks before, freely, totally, faithfully, and fruitfully. So basically, a love that is fruitful, total, and self-giving. Like a love that reaches out to others. So that's the love that I deserve, and that's the love that I'm called to give. And at that time, I didn't have a boyfriend or anything, but I knew now, that's the standard. Christ's love is what needs to be attained. So there, I also had that standard given to me from TOB. And the last point was my most favorite is that I'm called to be a gift. We're all called to be a gift. So in Gaudium et Spes 24, they say that man cannot fully find himself except through a sincere gift of himself. And I think this is what's given me the most direction in my life, because if I'm faced with a problem or a choice, my mindset is, what can I do that will make it easier for someone else? Or I remember there was this time na my friends were telling me to cut class na because I think they were going to go to Din Tai Fung, the 1 peso dumpling. I think that was the scenario. So they were saying, oh, cut na your class. You're just gonna have group something, something. Then I said, shucks, parang masarap yun. Then I looked at my bracelet that says GS24.
Napaisip.
Medyo KJ, but I think I'll stay in my class. Kawawa naman my groupmates, I'm gonna leave them. Tapos ako mag-enjoy ako, diba? So, that I'm called to be a gift. I'm called to help others. And I think those are the three main things that TOB has done to help me personally in my life.
Can I just say, favorite ko rin yun, yung quote na yun. I really like it. Oo. And I think even what you were saying, no, like, being a bit insecure, you'd have all these questions, and even about your book, I think that's really good, no, for when you're young. So, I think going back, no, I think a lot of young people at a young age should also think that, no, kasi sobrang attractive sa atin yung mga superpowers and all those things. Like, I remember when I was young, like Harry Potter, yung mga Totally Spies, like favorite ko talaga yun.
Totally spice.
Yeah. Basta anything to do with superpowers or having really cool gadgets, it's like, it's a big plus. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd think na, okay, you'd like look for things that will kind of prove your worth somehow, or like, you'd find it in achievements or getting attention, or, there are different ways actually that will, that sometimes you find yourself trying to look for affirmation just to see, okay, or sometimes, comparing yourself with others can be a bit common growing up. So I think that's really good, no, with yung book.
Especially in the world nowadays with social media. Diba? Can you imagine if you empower the kids at such a young age to not have to compare themselves and to not have to parang feel the need to measure up, kasi diba every all of the things in social media parang it's presented na parang, oh, our lives are perfect, and parang here you are parang, oh my god, I'm not like that, or parang my body is not like that, diba? So it's so nice if the kids at a young age really like ingrained na in them, no, na parang, no, we can all be different but we're all special, diba? So,
I think it's even needed with young professionals, no? Sometimes parang feel ko guilty rin ako doon.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Yeah.
so yung next na book ni Nica,
Pang-wapis naman.
Actually, I had a next book in mind, but it was opposite. It's for an even younger age
So
level.
how
Wow.
so you're
Tayo na lang for yuppies.
yeah.
Oh, sige, go.
We have a song na, diba,
Go,
for
go.
BK, now you can have a book.
Yeah, actually, that's part of the plans, guys. Like, really, we plan to have, like, a book, module, lahat na. Wait for it. Give us, like...
whatever
Give us-
can help, as you said, diba? Whatever can help other people. Because, totoo, it's such a good message and it really deserves to be spread. So, whatever media na pwedeng pasukin just to be able to, share the message, why not, diba?
Kahit Jesus-centered life conference, pinasukan na natin yun. To promote our message. Ay, meron pang isa pang conference, plug in. Yung sa yung Catholic Social Media
social
Summit.
Hashtag social
December
media
11
summit.
to 12. Oo, may entry din tayo dyan by Carmela.
Oh yeah, right, right.
I'm also
Are you
there. If you want to watch my video, I'm also there.
guys watch out
Perfect.
also?
My
Perfect.
Very
talk is
special weekend next
on my talk is on how to teach others how to be a gift. So as a young
Oh,
professional, how do you teach other
week.
people about this whole TOB thing?
dapat pala nag-costume
Yeah.
tayo ng group. Meron ako.
With a bow.
Sorry,
Diba,
Nika,
malapit na
Parang
what
Christmas.
was your
may
first
ribbon ngayon. So, pwede na ba yun?
sorry, Nika, what was your first
Hirap ko yung
topic?
clip ng daughter ko kasi parang
Na
gulo na hair ko. Sabi ko,
conference.
sige, kiklip ko na
Ay,
lang siya. So, gift ko
parang
today.
nag-overlap tayo.
One at a time. I think excited kayo lahat
Big
magsulit.
hand, Teacher Nika.
Yes,
One at a
Estelle. Wow.
No, sorry. What was your first topic ever, like, you've given, like, in any talk, like the first talk? What was it about? Like, compared to now? Like, has it evolved?
Okay, my first, well, including sharings like testimonies.
Mm-mm.
Maybe like when you're a speaker, when you're invited as a speaker or like in your
So not
class.
invited by my speaker as for my parents to give to
Yeah.
share in their talk.
Yung solong talk mo, ganun.
Okay, so my first solo talk was in YFC, Youth for Christ, and it was called God's Love and His Plan for Us. And I remember I was so nervous na my talk was so fast. Like, I was so nervous that my talk ended up being super fast lang. So all the nerves were there. And then I've given that talk many times since. And then I think it's gotten better naman. So that was my first ever talk. It was in 2013. Yeah. But then
Eight
if you
years
include yung mga speaker things, when I was younger, my parents made us share about our family. Mga ganun. What's it like being in a Christian family?
Oh, okay. True. Cool. Thanks for answering. What else?
Like you were mentioning that, yeah, the three things that TOB that really stuck to you about theology of the body, no? But like, in what aspect did it really like help you personally? Was it something that you were going through, or maybe dealings with friends? Like, I'm not really sure. Because diba, usually like for you to advocate that it like should have like a really kind of impact, or you know.
Yeah. So that low was there was a time in college na I drifted from the first set of friends that I had made. Not for any particular reason, but I just knew that I was very different. And like what I was saying, I'm very different from people. So I was trying to look for other Nikas in LaSalle and I couldn't find it. So I turned to the chapel, I turned to the library and learned more about TOB. And then I think it's just God's timing is so good talaga. After learning about TOB, so when I got all of the knowledge already, I finally said yes to this friend of mine who invited me to this organization called Koska Love. So it's the volunteer arm of LaSalle. So when I joined that org, one, I'm not the type of person to join orgs because I'm so shy. But I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose anymore. I have no kasama na during lunch. So I want to find friends before I graduate. So I joined that org and I found so many Nikas. I found so many people who love to serve, because just to give you context of what we do in that org, one of our biggest events is called FTK, or For the Kids. So it's an annual mini Olympics for children with special needs.
I joined before.
So there, Koska Love's the one that prepares that and that sets it up. And it was so nice seeing these people. I mean, the night before we're working until 2 a.m. to set everything up, and then our call time in the morning is 3 a.m. So these people are really tirelessly serving, wanting to serve others. And because I found them, I felt like, oh wow, there really is meaning to being a gift. There are other people out there. They may not know about TOB, but you can see the happiness that they have just by living these TOB things. So that was the low that eventually TOB helped transition for me to live my high, which is like my life now.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the best things that can happen, no, when you kind of realize your mission and like how you gift to others.
And
Oo.
and if it wasn't for that org, I wouldn't be a preschool teacher
Wow.
because it was in that org.
Wow.
We had a partnership with Saint LaSalle Preschool, and then they made me one of the heads there. So I was the one teaching the preschool kids every other Friday, I think it was. And then that's the time I realized, shucks, ang saya pala maging teacher. Last term ko na. I was about to graduate and I told my mom,
Carlo.
Mommy, can I shift? Can I be a teacher? I don't want to finish com arts anymore. And then she said, finish one degree na. Mag-masters ka na lang. So, as in career shift after realizing all those things. And I'm so happy I'm a teacher now. I don't know what I would do in the entertainment industry. I'm so fun. I'm so shy.
Having thought before, I have a lot of co-teachers na from all sorts of like different ano talaga, like we have advertising, we have ang
Mhm.
dami iba-iba. And then they just realized one day na no, I love kids, I want to teach. So ganun din, same story na they ended up like taking masters na lang
Yeah.
to be able to ano. But you were saying something about ano no, like being surrounded by people who like live TOB even if they don't know TOB. But what
Mhm.
do you do also in situations where you have friends who do not live TOB and do not know about TOB? So what's that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, I've also experienced that. And for that, I have two things to keep in mind. The first thing is stay true to you. Just because others don't believe in what you're talking about, it doesn't mean you need to let it go. Especially, I mean, my gosh, once you see TOB talaga, you really see the beauty of it na, no? So, that's the one that's hard to let go, diba? So, live the virtues, live what TOB is saying, and be the example. And to be honest, I don't know if I was liked by a lot of my peers growing up, or hindi naman sa not liked, but yung I was very different. Nika, you're very naive, you're very childlike. Why do you still think like that? But I didn't follow them. I just chose to believe in what I believed in. When I was in high school and up until college, I didn't go to parties. I didn't go to soirees. When boys would message me, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Not hindi sa I wouldn't reply, but I wouldn't be interested. Then my friends would always say, KJ mo naman, or missed opportunity, sayang, sana you had a boyfriend na nun, like that. And that's how it's always been. But I stuck to it, and as I got older, those same friends who would question my ways, were the ones who would also reach out to me, which is so nice. They would say, Nika, how can I have what you have? How can I also find someone who loves me the way that your boyfriend loves you and treats me the way that he treats you? How can I be happy like you? So they saw the Nika way, or well, the TOB way of doing things, and they apparently saw the value in it, even though initially that's what they were maybe skeptical or judging in the past. And I always like to remind myself. So tip number 2 is I'm just planting the seeds. Even if these people go to you for advice, even if they ask you those questions, they won't always ask or follow. I mean, they won't always follow naman what you're saying. And most of the time, they'll think na, para kay Nika lang yan, that's not for me, that's for them. But despite that, for those people who believe in TOB, continue. Share your TOB testimony, share your advice. If they don't follow it, it's okay. You're just planting the seeds. And then one day when they're faced with some trial, they'll remember what you told them. So I had this friend before, if I can share. I
Oh,
asked her
yeah.
permission naman. Um, she would always ask me about mga love tips or like that. Because she had
Love
a
guru.
boyfriend. Love guru. So
Uy, share
she
us your tips later, ah.
Yeah.
sige, sige. So yun, she would ask me for advice about this relationship that she was in. Then I told her na I think you deserve better. I think maybe this guy isn't treating you so well, but think about it, pray about it. And if you're that person, parang you have a boyfriend na, parang okay na, you won't just leave your boyfriend to follow Nika, right? Parang you're comfortable, you'll stay where you are. So understandably, she didn't listen to me. Like I didn't take it against her. I knew that she wouldn't really immediately follow what I said. But I knew that I was like planting some seeds. Then a few years later, she ended up getting out of that relationship, and she told me about it. And it was so nice when she started looking. So later on, she started looking for a new relationship. She was the one who was telling me na Nika, grabe, there's really a power to standards. I want someone who's like this. Jesus said this. I want someone who's like this. She saw her worth now. She saw what she deserved. So even though like 3 years prior, she wasn't really listening to it. Like when it came to the point that she had to live it out, it was planted na in her mind. So for the other TOB people surrounded by not so TOB people out there, it's okay. Be there for your friends. Listen to them. Journey with them. You don't have to convert everyone or preach or let dump the whole TOB book down their throats. Just listen to them, journey with them, and like you plant those seeds, like the poster that you guys shared. We're planting the seeds talaga is what we're here for. Because if you just tell everyone right then and there about what TOB is, it won't always just,
Sink
it
in.
won't,
You
yeah,
won't
always.
sink.
Was there any specific advice that you gave your friend apart from like dump him?
Hindi naman ganun.
POV
Grabe
nugget.
naman.
Your TOB advice.
Oh, what's your TOB advice?
What I was, ito na ba? Dating tips na ba tayo?
Up to you. Anong gusto
You
mong
can
i-share mo?
share.
Sinasabi mo sa mga friends mo na nakakatulong sa kanila, diba?
Yeah. So mostly what I'd say to my friends is I'd help them realize na they're worth they're worth someone who will respect them. They're worth someone who will put them first, treat them with love, treat them with kindness, and who's genuinely there for them. So I don't need to tell them, go look for someone else. I want them to first see na, you are special, you are loved, you're indispensable, and all of those things. So, and when they find that worth in themselves, they know na, I'm not gonna settle for you. I'm gonna find someone who appreciates that worth in me. So most of the time, that's how the conversation goes.
Mm,
Cute.
okay. Noted.
But
Yeah, pero I think that's ano. Oh, and I mean, talking about ano ha, like in general, diba, na rather than telling them, it's like more of facilitating the realization process.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
diba, I mean, it's different when you just say it, minsan di nila na-absorb yun. Pero if it's
Mhm.
them who realize it, iba yung impact.
Yeah, like asking them the questions, letting them, instead of saying, hey, you're like this, let them say, what do you think? What do you think? Diba? Journeying talaga with them, not treating them, I think my mom said this recently, not treating
Oh.
someone as a project that you need to fix, but just journey, being a friend first to them.
That's true.
yeah, it's all personal.
I mean, diba? I mean, who'd want to like tell you off, diba? If you're like that friend, parang, would you want na sabihin kang ganito, ganyan? Like, baka masakit naman yun, no?
All the more they'll shut you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious. When was the turning point for you? Because you said you're like, oh, I'm not interested in boys, ganyan. So,
Oh, so paano nangyari kayo, di ba? Joke lang. Di naman kailangan, di naman kailangan yung buong story,
not
no?
even like, this is it. Parang check lahat, parang ganun ba yun?
Oo.
Or,
Because,
Do you have a
like, I
list?
mean, like, knowing the TOB standards, like, what made you say, okay, sige, considered siya. Ganon.
Yeah, TOB list. May TOB list ba?
Yeah. Well, I think the one of the important things is when I actually started to consider na I'm ready for a boyfriend, I had to make sure that me myself first na I'm healed, na I'm not just looking for someone or like that. Na I knew na if someone comes along, then okay, I'll consider. Not yung I'm looking for someone. So someone just came along, and then I saw na, he fits the TOB standards, he fits the standards list that I've set for myself. So I said, okay, let's see where this goes. And I think you have a question later on that's gonna lead to that. But I still had to preempt it.
Oh, sige, go, sige. Yun, I guess, how did you know what kind of guy you were looking for?
Okay. How did I know what kind of guy I'm looking for?
Yun.
Context. I come from an all-girls high school. In college, most of my classmates were girls. So the only ever standout guy in my life was my dad. He was always the peg na if I find someone, he has to be like Papa or better. But it's hard to be better than my papa. So Papa, if you're watching, so there,
Kilig
because
si Papa.
because my dad talaga, like, he really puts others first, super hardworking. Even though he's busy at the end of a long work day, he finds time to pray, or sometimes it's night na, and he'll say, oh wait, I didn't listen to Father Mike yet, I didn't read my Bible. He's a good listener. I see how he talks to my mom. He's very patient, always on time, he's funny, he's smart. And the list goes on and on. And I wanted to find someone who loves me the way that my dad loves my mom. And then that's where my list of standards came in. So I was in this, I don't remember if it was Youth for Christ or just a random conference that I attended, but they had us write a list of standards that we're looking for in a future someone. So I wrote down those traits of my dad, and then I added more because, I deserve the love that Christ will give me. So syempre, I made it super long na. This is what I'm looking for. And then I kept that list. I put it in my Bible, and I'd pray for that. Dear Jesus, dear Saint Joseph, please bless my future husband. Blah 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 blah. And there, eventually, someone came along. Someone checked the boxes of the standards, and then I guess that was my turning point. Now, okay, there are some good guys out there that we can consider dating.
Super relate, Nika. Super relate because I also made a list. So when Jason Everett and his wife came over, that I was probably college, but like I also looked up to my dad. That's what I was gonna tell you. Then it's like he's my standard, and like I really had a long list, and like and like okay, let's pray to Saint Joseph because my mom keeps saying like to pray for a good husband through Saint Joseph. So yun, I carried that on, and we know that he's a spiritual father, and I mean, we always thought that he's silent, right? I mean, that's all we really. But I guess I learned this from a talk then once, like how do we listen? So it's even by being silent, guys. So like it's a play of words, listen and silent. So
Uy, oh my God.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Oh nga, no. Thanks for
yun. So I
pointing
was
that
like,
out.
Nika, yun. You're probably, hopefully, you were in the right track.
So.
Diba? Saint
Speaking of
Joseph,
which, I mean, diba, it's the year of St. Joseph, tapos guys, may time pa before the year of St. Joseph ends. But,
right?
it shouldn't end, basically, just because it's not anymore the year of St. Joseph. I think it's just the start of the devotion to him, no? And the importance talaga of, like, a male model sa church, no? Like, for fatherhood, for men in general. Oo, siya yung peg. And I think that's also why, no, like, it's really important with choosing someone because, diba, your kids will look up to that person for the stand.
Lifetime partner talaga. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yun.
Oo. Sige, you know what, Nika, since you were saying about your dad, like, you see how your dad treats your mom. So, yun, if you can share with us a beyond Kilig moment. Well, I'm not sure if about them or in general. Like, yeah. Siyempre, nasa
Okay.
Kwentuhan beyond Kilig ka, no? So, dapat meron ka rin i-share na beyond Kilig moment.
So I love my parents for sure. I love my boyfriend, but another one of my biggest loves are my students, who I miss very very much right now. And um I was when you asked me this question, I was really thinking about a standout moment with not beyond Kilig, but I think this is the moment that really made me feel na shucks, kilig ako. So there was this one time in my class when it was still physical. I went to school with a really bad sore throat. As in, I was paos na from class. It wasn't coronavirus. It was just paos because in preschool we're so ingay, diba? And I think I didn't look well or something. I was talking softly, and this student of mine, who's the most kulit student in my class, I think he could tell that something was wrong with me. So that day, that kulit little cutie, during the whole class discussion, he was holding my water jug. He got it from the shelf, and then he was just holding it. So every time I'd go, he'd hand it na to me. And I said,
Oh.
"Oh, he was so thoughtful." And to think that he's the one who's always rowdy in class. And then during playtime, I was sitting down and I was watching the kids, and then that student walks up to me. He goes, Teacher Nica, I will tell classmate to listen to teacher. I will tell them, quiet mouth, sit down, listen to teacher Nica. No problem? Okay, okay. And then I told him,
Oh,
shucks. And then my heart super melted because
cutie
what?
pie.
He's 2 years old and then he was able to express love in that way. So, and it was
Wow.
super different, especially because siya yung rowdy kid. For him to be able to, to express love in that way, I was super kilig. And then, yun nga, the kilig from my students is really different. I had a student a few days ago. She said, Teacher Nika, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have known that an inclined plane is a ramp. You're the best teacher ever. And then another student added, yeah, Teacher Nika, you're the best teacher, but you're also the craziest teacher ever because you love high fives. So that's my kilig moment. Like, I super love my students. I super miss them. And I feel a lot of love from them.
It's so innate, no? I mean, like, kahit they're so young and innocent and all, parang, it's very natural for them to express care, love, concern. So it's really
Exactly.
easy with each and every one of us, no? So parang talaga when it's love and how we ought to be treated and being genuine. Mm-mm.
Mm. They're so
Nice.
sincere. They're so sincere.
Go, Carla, baka meron kang gusto
Carla,
i-share.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lang
With
na
your
parang
kids.
like, I totally feel that. Yung parang, when they know that I'm tired or when I'm not feeling well, talagang sila yung, like, they
Mm-mm.
follow me around the house, they check up on me, they check if I'm okay. So, parang nakikita ko na they're trying to mommy me the same way I mommy them. So, yun, parang, I was just so, parang, almost teary-eyed na sa story niya. Kasi totoo, kids are really like the best. The best.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why there's this thing when they say okay to be childlike, diba? But not really childish, but more of like
Mhm.
childlike in that sense of concern and genuineness. Because diba, sometimes like as at this age, sometimes you get so busy that you're just filled with okay, I have to do this and that you kind of yeah. I mean it's easy to to take check in on someone or to see how they're doing. Oo. Parang may certain sensitivity ang kids.
Yes. They're so parang emotionally very, very sensitive to how you're feeling. Parang perceptive ganyan sila of others and yeah, parang with kids talaga walang pride. Like
Yeah.
if they know that they were wrong, they really say sorry. So yeah, we should all try to be
Should be
more
like,
childish even in our relationships.
Okay, so speaking of relationships, etong yung tips mo na gusto mong sabihin, Nika.
this is my favorite thing to share talaga to whoever will listen. Yeah,
Oh.
so this is normally when I'm asked to give talks, this is the part that I give. So these are my, well, not just my, from based on TOB, my 6 tips before dating. So there. So for all of the single people out there, well,
Take note
okay.
na.
Yeah.
Ano, yung mga single people dyan, kaway-kaway sa comment section.
So there.
Sigado talaga
Ano
sila na.
So the first tip is to
Comment.
understand. Oh, sorry. Go.
Wait, before we forget ha, para sa mga nakaka-relate or gusto mag-comment sa mga tips ni Nika ha, go lang. Please join us in the
If you have
conversation.
questions, you can also.
Oh, guys, comment lang kayo.
Yeah.
Sige, go,
So
Nika.
the first tip is to understand what dating is for. I think this is the best thing to do before you start dating is to know what you're getting yourself into. And dating is discerning for marriage. So it's about finding a future spouse and seeing if this person is worth marrying. Dating isn't just for fun. So if you're not ready to think about finding your future spouse yet, then build healthy friend relationships first that aren't romantic. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to be single and happy. Don't be afraid of being alone just because everyone else has someone. Be single and happy and use this time to build relationships with your friends and family. I always like to say now we're always looking for the perfect guy or the perfect girl. But if we look at ourselves, are we already that perfect or the best version of ourselves that we can give to others? Um, Yan si Kuya Mike. Hi,
Amazing.
Kuya Mike. I learned these tips also from Kuya Mike. He also gave a talk
Ayun.
on this.
Ito rin si Fritz, meron sabi niya, nagtitake notes daw. Oh, ayan.
So yun. So this is the time for us to practice and to master the virtues, master patience, being hardworking, self-mastery, learning how to say no to things, and being secure. So being secure in ourselves means we don't need someone just so that we can feel complete. So since we're in a classroom, we're going to do some math, if that's okay. So audience, you can chime in. We're gonna do complicated math equations. No, just kidding. Okay.
Kailangan ba ng papel?
No,
Kailangan
no, no.
paper? No.
I'm ready. Okay. Let's do some fractions.
Oh my God, teacher talaga.
Yes. So I learned from Katrina Zeno that dating is not an addition, but it's a multiplication. So let's do some math. What's 1/2 times 1/2?
Guys,
One
pwede
fourth.
naman mag-comment ng answer.
There. Thank you. It's 1/4.
Ayan.
So let's write it on the board. 1/4. So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. What about 1 times 1? Very good. It's 1.
Students.
Wow, Teacher Nica, why did you make us do math? It's a Saturday. Okay, so let me explain to you how this was taught to me. So dating is a multiplication. So if you're just half of a person looking for another half to complete you, to complete your whole, you're left with less pa than what you started with, diba? Because 1/4 is smaller than 1/2. Whereas if you're a whole person, you've already taken note. Carla.
Si Carla.
Bakit pa siya? So,
May sasabihin
kidding.
ko.
You're already a whole person. You know yourself. You know your worth. You're already secure. And you find someone who's also whole. You can end up with, ayun, visual aids. You end up with a whole relationship. So it's so important for us to first be secure in ourselves and try to find another whole person. We're not looking for another half to complete our half. We're looking for another whole so that we can have a whole relationship. Okay, next. My favorite tip is number 3, standards. We talked about this earlier, but we can dig deeper a little bit.
Dating standards. Kidding.
So first, ask yourself, what do you want in a future spouse? What man or woman would you like to be the father or the mother of your future children? What kind of person do you want to grow old with? The guy or the girl that you may be thinking about right now or that you may be seeing might not have all of these qualities, but there should at least be a strong indication that it is approaching towards your standards or that they have the strong potential for it. So under standards, we need to first know our worth. Again, we were created for the love of Christ. That is total, fruitful, self-giving love. This total, fruitful, self-giving love is not some random guy na sax lang. You deserve someone to give you the love of Christ. And it might be scary. I know it might be scary na if your standards are too high, how will I ever find someone?
Oh my gosh, yeah, you read my mind. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But
Parang
God,
God.
but we need to raise our standards so that only those who are worthy can make it over them. And we need to be very patient with this. If we lower our standards, we might find ourselves with someone who doesn't respect us or who doesn't love us or who doesn't make us a better person. So it's better to be alone than to settle for someone less. So after we know know what we want, we know our worth, now you can start saying, okay, this is what I want. And this is where my story comes in. So I wanted to make a pass up in this part. I have actually established earlier, I have very high standards. And my friends would really tease me about this. In my barkada, I was voted last to get a boyfriend. As in, that's how much people were thinking na, Nica, you're too picky, you're not gonna find someone. But, I didn't mind them. I just stuck to what I believed in. And in my standards, I had things like loves Christ more than he loves me. Syempre, he has to be good with kids. He has to be hardworking, respectful towards women, towards life, patient, etc., etc. And the list goes on and on. And in that organization that I talked about a while ago in LaSalle, we had this team building. And in that team building, syempre, there was dinner, and we were lining up in the buffet, and then this guy goes like this to me, meaning, oh, you can overtake, you can go ahead in the buffet. So I said, oh, nice, okay, I get to eat. So there, I ate my food, and then later on, we kind of talked a little bit until a few weeks later, I found out from some friends they weren't so good at hiding it. He had a crush on me. So I said, okay, nice. He has a crush on me. Okay, potential. And then after I found that out, our org had a dinner in Bonchon, and he was sitting in front of me. And before he ate his chicken bonchon, he went like this. I said, nice. He's Catholic. Okay. Pasok na siya. You're in the running. So I said, okay, interesting. I'll keep this in mind. And then I knew that with all of those things of TOB that is in my mind, I knew that it couldn't just be yes agad. So what I did was I made a gauge in my head. Now, for me to consider this guy, he needs to first fill up the gauge. And so little things. There was this one time I had the test in economics, and I was so nervous for the test because this is the only math that I can do. No joke. But like, I really wasn't good at math. I was so nervous. Then I got a text before my test. He said, can you step outside of your classroom first? So I stepped outside, and he said, good luck with your test. And he handed me some pochi. And I said, oh, nice. +5 sa gauge. And then,
Teacher
and then
talaga.
May teacher talaga. That's like my
my
points.
grading system, oh my gosh, how did I not catch this sooner? And then no thesis defense, we were he said, can I walk you to your defense? Because it was in the faculty ata or something. So I said, okay. And then before we walked to my defense, he said, you want to pass by the chapel? So I said, oh, +10 points. And then after my defense, he said, I have McDo for you. Oh, +10 na naman. But like little things like that would lead to it. And then it came to a point na the gauge was maybe around 75% filled. And we were in BGC because I had a photography project na I need to go somewhere for 9 hours to take pictures. And he was beside me and he said, I need to tell you something. Can you count? So we have this thing where we count down because mag-bottleneck kasi ako. So sometimes you need to pressure me to move faster. So I said, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then he said, I like you. Then in my mind, I said, oh my gosh, he likes me, but it's just 75%. But I mean, come on, 75 is almost 100, diba? So I was freaking out because I didn't know what to say. And then, buti na lang, he said na I didn't have to say anything first. So I said, okay, I'm so bad. I said, thank you, noted. And then there we carried on with the rest of our hangout. Until eventually, so yun, I stuck to my standards. I said I wanted to make sure before I answer this guy. And then the thing that filled it up was we had a barkada hangout in Cribs. It's an orphanage in maybe Marikina. I'm not sure where it is. But we had an orphanage visit with my group of friends. Yeah. And then I saw how he was with the kids. And then part of my standards is, possibly a good father. How am I going to gauge if he's a good father? He doesn't have kids. So little indicators like that, parang how he treats kids, how he was so patient. I said, yeah, I probably really like this guy na talaga. So when the gauge was filled, I told him that I liked him back. And I remember I panicked because I said that I liked him back. And he said, can you not tell your parents yet? I said, oh, what did I get myself into? What is this? And he said, because he wants to be the one daw to ask permission to court me. So he wanted to ask my parents' permission. So para surprise daw. So I said, okay. So yun, those that gauge thing really helped me think rationally na it's not just my feelings that are making me attracted to this guy. It's really tangible things that are going on. So having a list of standards really helped me know if this person was the one. And with our standards, we can make our list long, but it's also good to note what are our non-negotiables. So if you say, I want a guy that's 6 feet tall, that loves the Lord, but what if the guy you meet is just like 4 feet tall, but he super loves the Lord? Like, are you willing to give away that height factor? So it's also good to think about what our non-negotiables are, what the things that we aren't willing to let go are. So that's tip number 3, standards. Tip number 4, so this is what I include for the mga young adults or like the older crowds, is to ask the hard questions. So discern if you should be in the relationship. Is it the right time? Is it the right person? Am I just looking for someone to complete me? Is my life already in order? Um, is this person who he or she seems to be? Will they respect me? Do they meet my non-negotiables? Where do they stand on the area of chastity? Do we both agree that sex is reserved for marriage? Will he or she respect me and just say, okay, because you believe that, sige, go? Or do they themselves really personally believe that? So these things are important to determine before you enter into the relationship. Otherwise, parang they might just adjust because of you, but once you sway, then then something else will happen. So there, tip number 4. And then tip number 5 is to build a friendship. Friendship with no emotional attachment, solid, chaste friendship. We put on less filters when we're around our friends as compared to when we're with someone that we like. And it's good that before you become who you are with like a future boyfriend or future girlfriend, you start off with a strong friendship foundation. My boyfriend and I were friends for I think 2 years before we actually started dating. So yun, solid chaste friendship. And my last tip is when you ask, Nika, where do I start looking? Where can I find this boy? Where can I find this girl? I love Jason Everett's answer to this. He said, where do you start looking? You run to Christ. Don't run towards a guy or girl. Don't go looking. Run to Christ. Get close to Christ. Partake in the sacraments, and then see who's running beside you. And those people, more or less, are the ones that Jesus has put in our lives for us to be able to, possibly have a future relationship with them. So those are the 6 tips before dating that I love sharing because I just want everyone to have their own beyond kilig moments also in life. So,
Yeah.
so those are the 6 tips.
Galing.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Nika. I'm sure our audience has gotten a lot, no, from this session, even with the tips, no. I really like the last one you said because I remember that also yung yung I don't know from which talk that is then. Like that line really stuck to me too. Yun.
There are people in the comment section who are saying that they
Ayun.
need more list.
Ayan, no? Si...
Yeah,
I need
that
that
list.
list.
Yeah, totoo, totoo. You can review this. Watch it on YouTube. It's also on our Facebook page. You can just watch
Yes.
it again and take note of all of Nika's answers.
Yeah, for
She's
tea
very
Mm-mm.
replay.
comprehensive.
Yeah, imagine like all of these things, no? Like, I think what really helped her then is yung theology of the body, no? So for
For
those who are
sure.
curious out there, I mean, there's a lot of resources. So follow, like, share our FB, YouTube, Instagram. And of course, I mean, there's also resources online that you can check out, mga podcast about theology of the
Mm-hmm.
body. Yeah. Mm-mm. There's a lot of sources of knowledge for these things. Ayan, proud mommy! Ito.
Oh.
Aww.
Hey, hello.
Yes, Tita
Hello
Joy.
from upstairs.
Tita Joy, is your husband watching?
Oh, proud dad, I'm sure. Oo.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite from
Go.
tonight was number one when Nika was sharing about her like the importance of knowing your worth. 'Di ba? Kasi sa ano ba yun? Perks of the Wallflower, parang you receive the love you think you deserve. Parang there's a line like that. And before pa lang, parang, and TOB made me realize na sobrang totoo yun. Because if you don't think that you're worthy of that kind of love, even if it presents itself to you, you will not notice it. But if you believe that you're worth it, talagang yun lang yung makakapag-satisfy sa'yo. Also, the other part about where you said na you have to look for someone complete and someone who, parang the importance of standards. Kasi totoo guys, like marriage isn't easy. And coming from like 8 years worth of experience and 4 kids, it's really not easy. So we better be with someone who really has your back. Because if pati siya cargo mo, oh my God, it's gonna be so hard. You really have to have someone who will share the load with you para it gets lighter.
Yeah, galing Carla. We're pretty much the same.
Go, Estelle.
Yun.
Can
And
add on
yeah,
to that.
add I just want to add you know what you want, like what Jason Everett said, to run to Christ. So it's really important to be contemplative, guys. And yeah, self mastery then in that aspect. And we don't have to lower our standards. Sometimes really have to go against the current. So just because like majority are doing this or that doesn't mean it's correct. So be firm. Be firm with your faith and your standards, and you'll go a long way. Yon. Guada.
Okay. Parang wala na akong masabi dahil kasi nasabi niyo na. Ang daming key takeaways from tonight. Oo. So, I don't know really what else to add, no, but they were also good and well taken note of.
Yeah. You don't have to be
Oo.
perfect naman, guys.
Ah,
Ha?
thank you po talaga.
Pardon?
Sorry, yeah, we don't have to be perfect naman, guys. Ha? Look, basta whole person, like what Nica shared, yung one whole times one whole, one pa rin, unity, yon.
Well, maybe like, okay, maybe I'll just add on now because you guys are talking about like self-knowledge, then running to Christ first and all that. Well, it makes sense then, no? Because if you want to be a whole person, diba, they say that like you kind of get to know yourself more by knowing Christ because he knows us more than we know ourselves, eh. Diba? So he's the best person to really run to first. So ayan, so because of that, guys, reminders of Jesus-centered life conference kasi diba we have to be Jesus-centered. If you're running to him, diba? May relate lang. So yun, December 8 to 12. So there, nasa Facebook and Instagram rin yung Jesus-centered life. Pwede nyo rin yun i-like and follow. And yun, to register dahil kasi free siya. Oo, sayang naman to, guys. Oo.
Also, the Catholic Social Media Summit. Carmela
Yes.
will be there. Nica will also be there. Very, very good talks. Also other people that we've worked with.
I think Kirby will be there. I think, yeah.
Parish of Cebu would also be there. See Michael.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Do take the opportunity to learn
All right.
more. Know more.
So,
Don't forget, guys, to like, follow, subscribe our Facebook page or Instagram, and YouTube channel. So Beyond Kilig, yon.
ayan. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Nica!
So, susunod.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog.
Thank you,
Thanks
Nica,
so
for
much.
joining us. Super,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so good night everyone. Sa susunod ulit. Okay, bye.
Happy weekend.
Happy
Bye, guys.
weekend.